Relationship on the rocks?
Crushing on your best friend?
Not sure how to tell your partner a secret?
Luckily, you found Dear Romance Writer, an advice podcast from people who write happily ever afters for a living.
We are Zio Axelrod,
Avery Flynn,
and Roan Parrish.
You have questions.
And we have questionable answers.
Let's get to it.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for sending in your letters. We really love getting them, and you guys are funny and touching and just amazing, so keep them coming. Today's letter is from Wrench in Romancing. So next month will be mine and my wife's 8-year anniversary. Oh, congratulations, yay! We have a pretty great relationship, and I'm wild about her. We used to mark our anniversary with adventures, thoughtful gifts, and gestures, and surprises galore. Cut to now. We have a 2-year-old, work, and are getting ready to move, juggling a million projects, and 1 year into the pandemic, we're exhausted. I really want to show her how special she is, but I'm out of ideas or energy to pull something off. What do I do? Sincerely, Wrench in Romance. I think a lot of people are in the same boat.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's hard.
Avery, you've got kids.
Yeah. It's especially at that age, I mean, they need like constant supervision. For those of you without kids, but with dogs, it's like having a puppy. Okay? If they're quiet, they're chewing something they're not supposed to. And I literally mean that. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you guys are exhausted. And I would almost lean toward, I think the one thing that many of us are missing, especially with the pandemic, is sort of downtime, like solo downtime that you don't feel guilty about. And I think especially when you have kids, especially at that age, taking time out for yourself is really, really needed, but really, really guilt-inducing. So, right. If you're looking for something to be able to do, if it's possible to take your small child and go for a drive for 45 minutes, that's pretty amazing. That would be an awesome gift.
That's what I was thinking.
Because at that point in time, she can't feel, well, I'll just check in. Or she's in the bathtub and she's feeling guilty because she's in the bathtub. If you remove yourself and that's what your gift is, and you can still make like a presentation out of it, you can wrap a big giant box and there's nothing in it. And that's because it's free time. Free time is amazing. So, I mean, there's options like that you can definitely do. I've been married for, holy cow, we're hitting 21 years this year. So it's amazing. A lot. We are not, either of us are big gift givers, but the big thing is doing things for each other. And so I think that's another option that you can look into as well, is there something that she just keeps meaning to get done but never quite do it, or it's a coupon book of laundry.
That's what I was
coupons.
thinking. One of those coupon book things that people make up or buy or whatever, that's like 2 hours in front of the TV with no interruptions, or 2 hours with a book with no interruptions, something like that. And it's funny because like you were saying, like take the kid and like go for a drive, which sounds almost antithetical to like what anniversaries usually are, is like something for the two of them, but it is for the two of them because it's for it's for her like peace of mind and mental health and stress levels and everything. And so I totally agree. I think something like that, it's thoughtful, it's doable, especially in the situation that we're all in right now, which hopefully will be ending soon. But yeah,
vaccine. Right? Well, and another thing too is you can make an experience at home. Like maybe if she's into getting her nails done, I don't know, I'm throwing it out there, that could be something. Maybe you make your bedroom look like a spa. right? You light the candles, you put that weird little Anya music on, Enya music on, you do, you do all of that stuff. And then she walks in and you're like, oh, ma'am, would you like to pick out your color? This is time for your creativity to shine.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that would be actually really cute.
Yeah,
Candles around the bathtub.
I agree. I think experiences are always the best, and I would advise that if your wife is someone who really likes presents, maybe not the wrapping an empty box thing.
That's a really good point.
This
That's
big
really,
thing
really
I got
good
you that
point.
has nothing in it but air, but
Just
my love.
ripping open the wrapping paper, and then it's like,
Yeah.
But that's a really sweet idea, and the coupon books are a great idea because it's like, it's a way to honor each other all year long, not just on the day, because you can give that, and that's like the real gift that keeps on giving. And when I was a kid and I used to make those coupon books for my parents for gifts because I had no money and no way to get anywhere, I didn't ever mean it. Like, they never redeemed those coupons.
It was the thought.
Yes, the thought. Yeah, there's like the one coupon on the very front that was like 3 kisses, and you give it to your parent, and they're like, okay, I'd like to redeem this one now, and you give them 3 kisses, and then like that thing is in the garbage. But like as an adult, that's really valuable. There's nothing like the value on those things. So yeah, you could think of like, what are 5 or 10 or however many you feel like you could sustain over the year. Maybe they're like days that they tap out of dinner, your wife taps out of dinner and you take over, or if they usually cook, or vice versa, or like she gets to go meet a friend and doesn't have to deal with getting childcare because you'll get the childcare, whatever the things are. And I think that like the nicest thing, well, I guess people have different opinions about the nicest thing. We'll talk about that later, but is like, if you want to honor someone or you want to show them how special they are, is like telling them how much you care or doing things for them all the time. And so I like the idea of a coupon book because it's just a bit of a formalization of like having yourself do what you should be doing anyway, which is always trying to think about ways that you can make your partner's life easier, and always trying to think of ways that you can, I mean, they should be doing that for you too. So yeah, I think that that's a great idea. And you could make it look cuter than my like written in crayon and stapled together as a child.
Get really creative. But I also think that something like a coupon book or certificate or whatever it is gives the receiver permission to ask for those things, because if it's somebody who's like a natural care, like a caretaker who just like really, embodies that, it's sometimes hard for them to ask for help with dinner or help with whatever. And so like, it's like, okay, babe, I get it. Like, I know you want to do all the things, but sometimes you need a break. Here's permission. Here are some permission slips for you to use whenever you need to, to take that break. Yeah, but I agree. It's something that we should be doing for each other all year round. But I think it's just a reminder, Yeah, hopefully that we gave you some ideas there. Wrench in romancing, and happy anniversary.
Yes, happy anniversary. That's awesome. Yay! You're past the 7-year itch.
When I was younger, I always saw the title of that movie and I thought that it was an actual rash that occurred every 7 years. And because in the picture on the cover is like a summer thing, I was like, is it
Poison ivy
related or?
Yeah, I did too. I was like, what is that? Ew, that sounds really unpleasant.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
No one likes that.
There's a cream for that.
Thanks for that letter. And I want everyone to feel like they can write to us and ask us anything. So we are opening up letters for our social media as well, or letters via our social media, as well as the website. So if you want to send us a letter, you can do it the way you have been on dearromancewriter.com, but you can also DM us on Instagram or send us a direct message on Twitter, or whatever you call direct messages on Twitter.
Slide into our DMs.
Yeah.
Slide into our DMs.
Yeah.
Come on in.
Anyway, send us your letters. We'll take them any way you got them.
Well, and while we're here, though, I thought it would be kind of fun to do a little bit more of a discussion on sort of that pressure over presence, because I think a lot of people experience this, even if it's not in the category of like a relationship. Like, presents are confusing. I think sometimes for people, especially if those folks are not like, have you guys heard of the 5 love languages?
Yeah.
Okay. So one of
Explain.
the 5 languages is gifts, right? And it sounds really materialistic, but it is not meant that way. So that is some of the ways that, and love languages are just different ways that people, you know, sort of identify love by, right? And so for some people that is sort of their thing. However, if you are not a gift person, it can be really confusing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so there's got to be ways, sort of, if you are not a gift person, how can you better meet that need of a partner who is a gift person? It could be a romantic partner, it could be a friend partner, whatever it may be. What do you guys got for that?
Yeah, and can we just go over, just because if people aren't familiar with the 5 love languages,
Yeah.
it's a way of determining like what is the thing that makes you feel most loved. And
Right.
it's gifts, acts of service, words and affirmations,
Yes.
quality time.
Quality time, and I can't remember what the 5th one is. Hold on, you guys keep talking and I'll look while you guys are talking.
I feel like I should know this. I've never heard of this.
Oh yeah, well,
Really?
there's a quiz that you can take. I mean, obviously this is like not highly scientific, but there's a quiz that you can take where you rate like how much you would enjoy
Each
receiving
one.
different,
Okay.
and then it tells you sort of this is your primary love language and secondary one. And I didn't read the book or anything. I just like read an article about it online and took the quiz. But
physical touch. I've actually read the books and it's good. So the 5 are words of affirmation. So that's like, I love you. So it's your partner or whomever saying, I love you every time. Quality time. That's when you are actively engaged in spending quality time together. Physical touch. Acts of service. So like we were talking about before, you know, walk into your bedroom spa and let me paint your toenails. And then receiving gifts.
Right. And
some people really get off on giving gifts too.
Oh yeah.
So that, I think that the gift giving thing can go both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm interested to talk about like, I feel like probably the easiest is if you and whoever you're talking about have the same love language, but I feel like any mismatch of love languages, especially if you don't know the language, love language, could be like, oh, I keep expecting that, or it's a nice way of being reminded that your perspective is not the perspective of every other person in the world, because that moment when you realize that you assume that the thing that you like the most is what someone else would want, and they take that quiz and you're like, oh, you actually don't care about getting gifts at all. You just want me to like touch you every time I walk past, and here I've been dropping diamonds all over you, and
right.
it's meant
for some reason pinging you with diamonds is not the same kind of physical touch. Very disappointing. I will take the diamonds, and I'm not a gift person. No. But yeah, so
no, I'm a big gift
really
giver, so I understand this one very, very well.
Yeah.
You like to gift give.
I love giving gifts.
And so what do you find is like in a relationship thing, whether it's friends or whether it's a romantic relationship, you know, how do you assuage is not even a word. How do you meet that need? Yeah, you assuage it. How do you meet that need if it is not the other person's love language though?
Yeah. My family, I think, are big gift givers and big gift receivers, but there's always been, I won't call it a competition, but there's definitely this feeling of like, I gave you, especially with siblings, it's like, I gave you this thing worth $25. You only gave me this thing worth $5. Do you know what I mean? So like, there's this like, you have to match the level, or if it's like to a parent or to someone else, or like, you know, if you go to a baby shower and people are giving gifts, and it's like, well, this one's from us and this one's from me. And it's like more and more extravagant, more, you know, and everyone's like, who gave the most expensive or the biggest or the most prestigious gift? There's a lot of that in my circles. And so as a gift giver, I tend to go for things that I know the person will like personally, even if it's something small. like they really love this character from a TV show, so I'll find like a Funko Pop or like a signed picture or something like that, rather than here's this big expensive thing, and I hope that they'll receive it in the manner that I meant to give it, with the love. But if they're one of those people that's like, I really wanted a diamond, then I'm like SOL. But for me, I guess I try to gauge someone's gift receiving levels, I guess, before I
that's a really good
do
point.
that. Like just in conversation, when you talk about birthdays or holidays or what they got or whatever like that, just sort of like file that information away later for future reference, if that makes sense. That's just my method, I guess.
That's a really good point. I like that.
I can be overwhelming with gifts sometimes, though. I do have a problem.
I've never felt overwhelmed by gifts, CO. So I'm gonna have an issue with you the next time we're in person. No.
Okay. All right.
And expect those diamonds that Roan's talking about. I think, in terms of a relationship, neither Mr. Flynn nor I are gift folks in receiving. We both like to give. But one thing, though, that kind of ties into the gift thing is he still to this day shops on Christmas Eve for Christmas gifts. My birthday is August 30th. I know he's going to get my birthday gift on August 29th. And so one of my love languages is quality of time. So that was a huge adjustment for me in my thinking when it came to gifts and what they represent. Because to me, that was, I'm just going to put this off until the very last minute because it's not important. Right? So that's how I interpreted. And that took, honestly, it took a long time for me to figure out, no, he is not meaning that way. He just absolutely hates shopping that much that, thank God for online shopping for this poor guy. But so for me, when I give a gift, part of the fun of it is the thinking about it and the amount of time that goes into the planning part and finding the perfect thing and all that stuff. So it goes back to exactly what Roan was talking about with the what gets you may not be what gets them. And even on something as simple as, a birthday gift, learning that, hey, the fact the person's going to go out at like 10 a.m. on the day of your birthday is not actually a personal thing. So that I think ties into the whole gift giving as a sign of love as well.
Like my in-laws, they're from Russia and they don't do, and this is what they tell me, like I think it's just this family.
If
but
they're lying, somebody will write in and let us know.
They don't do cards. I love cards. They don't do cards. They don't wrap, and there's no such thing as a surprise. So for every gift giving event, it's send me your wish list. We'll get something on it. It'll show up whenever. There's no and so like Mr. X is kind of like that too. He's gotten, we've been together long enough that he's like, okay, I know you like that stuff. So he's adjusted in terms of my gifts, what he gets me one, because he figured out my taste, which was like a thing. Because the first couple of gifts he gave me for like anniversaries and stuff, I think he gave me like this bracelet that's just hideous. It's awful. And I was like, oh babe, thanks. And then it's been sitting in the drawer ever since. And so like at one point he was like, you didn't like that, did you? And I was like, no, but it was really sweet that you because I like. And he was like, okay. So every year he's like, okay, I know you like gothic stuff, you like whatever, like. And so he's learned my love language, my gift language, and I've learned his, whereas he doesn't like surprises. He doesn't care if it's wrapped. He doesn't care about cards. So we've figured each other out. But it took a minute for me to like my in-law, like that, just like stuff would just show up in like the cardboard box, and I'm like, thanks. And it was just like, or like gift cards. Gift cards are like another contentious thing for people who, gift giving sometimes, because it's like it seems impersonal. But for me, I'm like, well, I don't know exactly what you wanted, but you like this store, so here's some money to go buy from that store that you love, which I think is a valid gift giving choice. But for some people that's like really insulting and impersonal,
Gifts are loaded, don't you think?
Gifts are loaded. I mean, even just like culturally, gifts evolve, or anthropologically I should say.
There you go.
gifts evolved as like a way of making social connections, like formalizing social connections. You would give a gift interpersonally from one family to the next family to establish a connection. You would give a gift like within tribes. I mean, it's there's a sense of indebtedness when you receive a gift that's intentionally built into gift giving, not in a nasty way, but like to say I have the resources to give something away and I choose to give it to you is like, there is something that's loaded about that. And depending on how you grew up and like what role gift giving played in your family, like you were saying, Zio, and in your partner's family or friends' families or whatever. Yeah, I think that there are tons of ways that gifts like hurt people's feelings in ways that you would think like, oh, it's just a nice, like, when is a gift ever not nice? And it's like, oh.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a really good. I love that you brought up the anthropological cultural aspect of gift giving, because that was actually I'm from the Midwest. When we get married, we give each other toasters, right? So
like the couple gives each other toasters?
No. I mean like your wedding gifts from other people. Like they come to your wedding reception. There's a table that's usually like piled with like gifts that you registered for, right?
Right.
When Mr. Flynn and I got married, that was something that he had to like he had to sit me down and he's like, do you remember when we watched Goodfellas? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you remember when the wedding scene where everybody gave envelopes of money? And I'm like, yeah, that was so weird. He's like, that's going to happen at our wedding. You're going to need a little bag. And I'm like, what? I had no concept of any of that. And that still to this day is one of the weirdest experiences of my life, is walking around my wedding reception with like a bag of money. Oh, and then we left for our honeymoon the next morning, so we had to find an ATM because none of the banks were open. I'm like, what am I doing with this? I'm not taking this.
I'm playing with bags of cash.
Imagine you like sewing it into your petticoats, like escaping a war.
You go through customs, like, do you have cash on you? Well, yeah, it's a bag of cash. It's a bag of money.
But again, that comes into, gift giving is so loaded because it comes with what's the meaning for the giftee, what is the meaning for the gifter, and what is the cultural meaning of it, and so there's a lot of different layers to that. So it's not a surprise, like poor Wrench and Romance, there's pressure to finding the perfect gift.
Yeah.
And
even within like
get to you.
Like you were talking about, Zio, I'm glad to know you like cards, because I will file that away. I am not a card person. I'm like, why would someone spend, I don't know, cards now cost like $75 or something. When I was a child, it was like 85 cents and it came with an envelope. And now I see them and I'm like, what is this? What's being perpetrated on the people?
Why is it singing to me? Why won't it shut up?
I know. I'm like, it's like you're just handing me something for me to recycle. What's the point of this? And so I never get a card, or like I cut out a little chunk of the wrapping paper and write my name on it and stick it to the thing so someone knows who it's from. But I never was a card person. I'm actually not the biggest gift. Like I really enjoy finding the perfect thing for other people, but I hate shopping when there's an occasions. I don't like going shopping.
Right.
Online shopping's okay, or I love like antique stores and just looking around.
I was gonna say, you like,
yeah, I like that kind of stuff, but I don't like shopping for an object.
Yeah.
So I like being able to just like, as I'm moving through my life, if I see something that someone in my life would like, I just buy it and then I have it, and then when it's time, when it's the next like birthday or holiday or whatever, then I'll send it to them. But my family, my parents always gave my sister and I gifts like for Hanukkah for our birthday, but it definitely wasn't like it wasn't a big to do, really. It was like, or it was unidirectional. It wasn't like, this is when we all exchange gifts and it's a big family. It was like, it's just us. Like my mom's family is from New York. My dad's family is from Philadelphia. They all lived on the East Coast. And by the time I was of gift giving age, we lived in Michigan. And so it was like just our little family.
Yeah.
It was basically like my sister and I opening some gifts from my parents and giving them, the crappy crayon coupon books that I was speaking about. So there was always a sense to me of like, it's a holiday, so your parents give you things and that's nice, but it's not like nobody else cares that it's your birthday or that it's a big thing. It's not like you're getting gifts from 30 people. So I think I grew up with like birthdays are fine and the holidays are nice and everything, but I never really thought of it as like, this is the time I'm going to spend a month shopping for everybody that I know and love. That's just like not a thing that I ever grew up with.
So do you get extra stressed out though then when you do have to buy gifts? Like if I said you need to get a gift for Zio, go find the perfect gift. You've got 24 hours. Would that be stressful to you?
No, because I wouldn't feel like I had to get a gift for Zio. I mean,
what?
But I'm ordering you to.
Who's gonna make me?
She's like, who's gonna make me?
No,
you can't make me. You're too far away.
My love language though is I like to cook for people. That's my favorite thing. And it's like, it makes me incredibly happy to imagine what someone else would want to eat, or like in the case of if it were a gift, I would probably do dessert as opposed to food. So I would make Zio a cake or something. And I know because I've made Zio things in the past, I know that she only eats a little bit at a time and then she freezes it. And then I know that that means she will later take it out of the freezer and be eating it and maybe be thinking like that I care about her because I made this for her. So I really enjoy the feeling of like giving something to someone that will make them feel loved in that way. So if I didn't know what to get someone, I would always probably bake them something. I love
that. And you know what? That wrench needs to think about. Needs to think about baking something for somebody like that.
Yeah. Although imagine baking with a 2-year-old might be kind of like,
get the 2-year-old to help.
Exactly.
Like 2-year-old here. Come
here.
My
God, no.
Just with like something small and not too destructive. You know what I mean? Like, hand me that spoon. Give me the spoon, or put the spoon in the sink. Something like that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, we were talking about cards. I don't know when he started doing it, but my father likes to give 2 cards. He'll give you a funny one and a serious one.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, and like my mom, when she passed away, I got her box of stuff, and when I opened it, there were cards from decades inside from people that I didn't even know existed, like people from the South, like her family and stuff. And I was like, I don't know who these people are. So yeah, like I think cards are easier to keep for some people, like they store them away in like they do photographs, you know what I mean? So I think I get that. They do get a little ridiculous in price. I love the Love Pop cards, the ones that when you open them, it's like a 3D laser paper thing. So those are fun, but like some of them are just ones, they can be super cheesy, and then like super gaudy, but people love them, so they love what they love. But yeah, I don't know when he started doing that, but 2 cards.
That's really sweet.
That is sweet.
So what would you guys advise somebody who is not a gift is my love language person with somebody who is a gift is my love language person? How do you meet in the middle with that?
Well, I definitely believe that you don't have to keep things equitable in terms of that. Like if your partner is a gifts are my love language person, and you are an acts of service are my love language person, I say get your partner a bunch of gifts, and they don't have to get you them, but then they'll do a bunch of favors for you, and that's fine. And in terms of like knowing what to get, I also am I'm particular about the gifts that I give, because I hate receiving things that I don't want. I hate clutter. I hate waste. And if I get something I don't want, then it's like I would never throw it away because it's wasteful. So I would have to pass it along. And then it's like someone's giving you a chore instead of a gift. And so I try very, very hard to only get people things, like if I'm going to get an object, to only get them things that I know they will like and not want to get rid of. So I think the best way is pay close attention to the things that the person that you're trying to get a gift for says that they need, but they wouldn't get for themselves. So like it's not fun.
That's really good.
Like if someone needs something like a computer charger, that's probably something they'll just get for themselves. You don't need to be like, Monica will be here in 3 months, I got your back. It's not fun, and if it's something that's just, I don't know, like just pure pleasurable things are great for some people too. But for me, the perfect gift is like someone says, oh, this thing would be so cool and it would make my life easier, but it's a little bit out of I don't need it, I can make do. Those are the words that I'm always listening for. And then I'm like, swoop in, like, and get them the thing. And then when they open it, it's like a double gift, because it's like they get the thing that they wanted but wouldn't get, and they remember when they mentioned it, and they're like, oh my god, I said this,
you
like
remember,
ago, and you remember,
oh, that's a huge thing.
It makes them feel very affirmed and very cared for. And that makes me very happy.
Well, and you know what, I think you just hit it. That is the goal, you know, when you're giving a gift. It is to let somebody know that they are affirmed and that they are cared for and that they are being listened to. And like, I remember hearing about, you know, the old couples where every Wednesday, one of them would bring the other one flowers, right? You know? And so it doesn't have to be something huge. It doesn't have to be, you know, diamonds or fancy jewelry or whatever it is. You know, if somebody's love language is gifts, that doesn't mean it has to be super expensive for you. It really can be, you know what? These were on sale at Publix for $4 a dozen. So I got you some flowers. You know, just don't say that first part. It's more of, I saw these and thought of you. But again, it doesn't have to be something, it doesn't have to be a huge production for you to be able to meet that need for your either romantic partner or friend partner or whoever it may be.
I want to flip this around real quick for advice for people who are big gift receivers and they're not with people who are big gift givers. We've talked about treat yourself before, right? This is like that opportunity. So if you're a big gift receiver and you're with someone, family member, relationship, friend, whatever it is, and they're just not that gift giver. And because I've been like, when I was younger, I was like, oh man, I wish somebody would do that thing for me. I wish somebody would get that thing for me. But it was like, you got to the point where you're like, I'm gonna get the thing for myself and I'll enjoy it with them, or they can enjoy it with me, or I can enjoy it on my own or whatever. But like, I think waiting for someone to give you a gift that you want or an experience that you want is, and you know that that's not something that they would naturally think to do, is just setting yourself up for disappointment. So, you know, don't be afraid to be your own gift giver. You know what I mean? Like if you really love Belgian chocolate and your partner or your friend or whatever is allergic to chocolate or whatever, you're not going to get Belgian chocolate from them. Like get it for yourself and enjoy it. And, you know, and then you can feel good and have your thing that you love, you know. I just think that, like you said, like Roan said, there's a lot of pressure on people to receive things too from people who are not natural gift givers, and they want to make them feel good about giving that gift, but they're disappointed. So they're like, okay, I want to hide my disappointment. So like, just take that pressure off the table. Like, even if you sit down and have a discussion with them and say, you know what, we're not on the same page when it comes to this stuff. So let's just acknowledge that, and I'll do this thing for me and you can enjoy it with me if you want. And you know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think that's a great idea. And you could even go shopping for your gift together.
Yeah.
If it's like the person wants to be involved and is like, I want to be the one to pay for it. I want to be the one to, right? You know, you could go shopping for it and then you get home and the other person takes it away and wraps it up and brings it to you and you get to unwrap it. Or you like, I think it could be fun thinking of ways to sort of, because I know for some people it's like they want the thing but they actively don't want to buy it themselves for whatever reason. I'm sure it makes sense. I don't know. I just buy myself what I want, but whatever. I think like you could do a shopping day with your partner and you could go shopping and you could be like, okay, what are the occasions throughout the year that I would get a gift? Like my birthday, the holidays, and our anniversary.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So you could be like, your job is to pick 3 things that you like, and you go shopping for the 3 things, and it's on an unrelated day, and then you don't know when you're going to get which of the 3 things.
Oh, that's
throughout
cool.
the year, then you know that you're going to be
That's really fun.
That like, and the other person didn't have to find them themselves. You could do it online too. It doesn't have to be like go to the mall kind of shopping. Or if you're on a trip and you like go to a store and something is amazing, you could be like, I want this to be one of my presents. And I think that's a nice way to involve the other person but take some of the pressure off. You could also do couple gifts, like, or joint, whatever family member gifts, joint gifts, where you're like, okay, this year we'll take all the money that we would have spent on birthday, holidays, anniversary, and we will put it all together and see how much money would that have been, like $200 or $1,000 or however much you spend on gifts, and then be like, oh, let's get bikes for both of us because we like to ride bikes, or let's get a new car, or take a trip, or get a new refrigerator, like whatever you're into. And that's a thing that, like, it might serve you really well and be practical, but also it's a gift that you get to like think about and plan together, and then you get the joy of the thinking and the planning, and then you still get the thing at the
That's
end.
actually what we do, Mr. X and I, because we got to the point where we were getting holiday gifts for each other that we didn't really want or need. It was like, you got to put something on your list. You got to put something on your list. I got to give me something to get you. And it was like, I don't need anything. I don't want anything. So we started getting things for the house. Like when our TV died, we were like, okay, we're going to get a really cool TV, you know, it's like a smart TV or whatever. And I like the idea of opening things up on Christmas morning, even though I didn't grow up with that. I just love that. So for the compromise, we do the family gift, the house gift, and then we do stockings. So like he has to make a stocking list, and it's usually like Russian candy, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that, like things, like little things that he wouldn't buy for himself, like tea, whatever it is. And then like, and you know, that morning we get up and I'm like, oh my gosh, my stocking is super full of candy and tea, and it's lovely. And then we can enjoy our brand new, you know, speakers or whatever. So yeah, it's, you know, there are ways to do this, but I think taking that pressure off, which I don't think people even realize that they could do, like just do it. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't occur to some people that like they don't have to put this pressure.
And just like every other part of a relationship, I feel like my advice is always the same, which is have a talk about it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I read this on the Am I the Asshole?
Oh God,
all the time. I feel like there are just these it's like question after question, usually by the person, I mean, I guess it's actually from both of them, but the person who's like, I got my partner a gift because I know they like gifts. They were sad and cried because they thought that the gift was bad and that meant I didn't love them. Am I the asshole? Or from the other side, like, I wanted this thing. I talk about it constantly. When my birthday came around, my partner gave me this other thing. Does this mean they never listened to me? I cry. You know, it's like gifts and crying and stuff. And I think, and I'm kind of like, I mean, often it's just like a what is wrong with straight people moment for me, where I'm like, do people not talk about things? Do you not like move through the world to conversing with one another so that you know what each other want? I don't get, like, what kind of a relationship is this where you buy
very limited amounts of communication.
It's so wild to me. It's like, sit down and be like, hey, babe, I hate the gifts you give me. Love you to death. Love the sentiment, but we don't have the same taste. Let's talk about it. This is not that hard, and I just kind of I'm honest.
But it is for some people. It is for some.
It is for some
and
people.
Not just about that subject too. It just sometimes it just spreads throughout their life. So
that falls into everything. But I would say on that communication note, straight or queer or anywhere in between, you can take that love languages quiz for free online, and
I'm gonna take it.
It's kind of, and it's short, so if the person that you are taking it with is not into it, it won't take them very long, and it is a nice neutral way to start that conversation when you're not crying or the other person is not crying. So
again, don't do it near any major event, life events. Like just pick a random day and do it.
So it's an easy, quick quiz. It's free. The book's actually super interesting. The guy is, I want to say he's a minister, which is not my jam, but it is not. I've read the book. It's been a really long time, but it's not super God heavy if that is not your jam. If it is your jam, you'll see that and it will be comfortable. So I would just put it that way.
So what is your love language, Avery?
I am a quality time. I'm a quality time girl. And then Mr. Flynn is acts of service. So those actually are different, but they meld pretty well together. But we would have never known that. and he grew up around people who are more gifts. So the fact that he was around people that were gift folks, and then he's an acts of service. So both of those were not mine. And acts of service is great, but if it's like a Saturday and he spends the whole day mowing the lawn because that's his act of service, is to make sure our house looks nice, right? So I don't feel like I live in a messy place, that, which I would hate. You know, then he's singing, he's doing that, and all I'm saying is he's spending all this free time away from me. What is going on? So again, I think it's that communication effort and the ability to look in and see what is different here. Where are we aligned and where are we not? But yeah.
This week's playlist, guys, is super fun. It's called Still the One. It's inspired by Wrench, but it's got some Eric Clapton on there. I've got Ed Sheeran. I've got Jackie Wilson and Natalie Cole. Sugarland. It's a good one. I think it'll set the mood for that, anniversary night or whatever's going on. I think it's a really cool one. Just let me know what you think. Yeah.
And Wrench, you could like pass it off as something that you created as a gift.
I think there's a feature where you can like create a playlist just like this one and just like copy all the songs over.
There you go.
you can just like, look, babe, I did this playlist for you.
Yeah. Happy anniversary, honey. I stole for you.
I
think that's super romantic.
It is super romantic.
Well, speaking of stealing, my recipe this week is not my own. It's not stealing. It's just recommending a recipe by Smitten Kitchen, aka Deb Perlman, who, like, I'm waiting to try one of her recipes and have it suck, and it just hasn't happened yet. So I'm suspicious. But this week's recipe is a perfect recipe for if you want to bring that special someone breakfast in bed, say an anniversary morning, or just a Wednesday. There's cinnamon scones, like cinnamon sugar scones, but they're folded. So it's like you make your scone dough and then you sprinkle cinnamon sugar in between, and then you fold it and sprinkle more and fold it. And so they come out in these beautiful triangles that actually look like the edges, like the pages of a book with cinnamon sugar.
I just got shivers.
Oh yeah, you will when you taste them too. So the scone dough isn't very sweet, and then you have the sweet cinnamon sugar. So it's like, it's sweet enough to be sweet,
right?
Like it's going to be, but it's not like you're eating breakfast. I mean, you're eating dessert for breakfast. They're so good. Like, you all don't know me, so this may not mean anything to you, but I'll tell you, I never make recipes exactly how they are. I always mess with them. Even if it's good, there's always something that I think I want to do differently. And these scones I make exactly as listed.
Ooh,
well,
wow.
I mean, obviously I add more cinnamon and sugar. I'm not a monster, but I do everything just like Deb says in the recipe. Thank you, Deb. I love you so much.
Wow, that sounds delicious, and I want one, and now I'm hungry.
Yes, no kidding.
As always, after everyone talks about one of her recipes.
Very hungry. Well, I stuffed my face with a lot of not good food for me. That was not cinnamon sugar scones. Yesterday, or not yesterday, but the other day, when I had to take a day off work, and I binged watched The Great. So that is what I'm starting off our recommendations section with.
Okay.
It is, it's on Hulu. It is about Catherine the Great. It is a dramedy. Do not watch with small children or anyone else you're uncomfortable with a lot of sex. So that's number one. But it is great. It's really well done. It's fun. It is not true historically, and they don't even pretend. In fact, each episode's got a little asterisk by the title card, and underneath it says an occasionally true story. So that's really great. But it is Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult, and they do a great job, and it is really fun, actually. A look at power dynamics and a look at sort of a growth arc, a strong growth arc with Catherine's character. And then also, just the whole ridiculousness of a life at court.
Mm,
So it's really fun. I highly recommend it.
cool.
Don't watch with small children. You will have lots of explaining to do.
I don't
Okay.
play small children.
Well, I will rec. It's an Amazon Prime show. It's called Upload, and it's about the digital afterlife. Like you can upload yourself to a digital afterlife. It's from Greg Daniels, the guy who's probably more well known for The Office. But it reminds me a little bit of Black Mirror, if you've ever seen Black Mirror.
Yeah.
It's very twisty, and I mean it's like very brightly shot, like bright colors, and it plays like a sitcom, like a comedy. No laugh track, thank goodness. But it's very dark. It talks about classism, and there's some sexism, there's a little bit of racism in there, but it's all done in this premise of this guy who wants to get uploaded to this really luxe neighborhood in the afterlife, but his girlfriend controls his finances, so she controls like how much he can do there, where he can live, what he can eat. It's really like really messed up, but in like a really good way. And they just started shooting season 2, and I wasn't even sure it was getting a second season, so I'm really happy that it's coming back. But I think it's not even like a long series, maybe 6 or 10 episodes, somewhere like that. But it's Amazon Prime, and it's Robbie Amell is the star of it.
Oh,
Brother
yeah.
of Steven.
The Arrow.
Yeah, the Arrow. Yeah. I think he was on the Arrow for a bit.
Mr. Ladder.
Yeah, right. I think Robbie was on the Arrow for a minute, but anyway, he's really good and it's really funny, so check it out.
Very cool. I will check both of those out. My rec this week, also TV and movies, I guess, is Mike Flanagan, the director, who I just have loved everything he's done. But most recently he did The Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor, which are so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
They're fabulous. I loved both
So
of those.
good. Both so good. And I don't even know, how to describe what is so good about them. His stories are so rich that even though they are sort of like filed under horror, I guess, they're really just more about the idea of haunting, as in like what things from our past remain ever present with us, than they are about the horror of like ghosts or a house trying to kill you. And especially Haunting of Hill House is this really beautiful, like recursively told story where it bounces between past and present, but then it circles back around and things in the present explicate things in the past, so that when you see them again, they take on new meaning, and vice versa. And oh God, both of those are just so good. But I have to get everyone even more obsessed with him because he is currently in production making an adaptation, a TV adaptation of one of my all-time favorite young adult reads or middle grade reads, which is The Midnight Club by Christopher Pike.
Oh.
Yeah. So The Midnight Club by Christopher Pike. I realize this is like 2 recommendations, whatever. The Midnight Club by Christopher Pike is about a group of terminally ill teenagers. I was obsessed with terminally ill teenagers as a child. And
Soft face.
you know, like Lurleen McDaniel and the Holocaust and all that stuff.
For me, it was the Ghastly Crumb Tinies.
Oh my God, yes. I love that too. But The Midnight Club, it's like this group of kids who are all basically in a end of life, like hospice kind of house. And they meet every night at midnight to tell stories. And of course, they're all obsessed with what happens when you die because they're all about to die. And so they make this pact that whoever dies first will try to contact the rest of the group, the rest of the Midnight Club. And so of course, when one of their number dies, stuff
happens.
Yeah, no spoilers, but stuff happens. But that book is like legit. Christopher Pike is a genius of plot and like one of the worst writers ever in terms of prose. And, so the book I recommend in terms of, you know, like be 11 in your head and enjoy the story. But I think that Mike Flanagan is a great writer. And works with great writers, and his direction is so both subtle and beautiful that I feel like it's such a great combination, and I'm hoping that he will repair the parts of The Midnight Club that are like bad. And really do a great job with it. Also, I feel like his casting is great, especially kids. So I'm really hopeful. Anyway, not to turn this into a Mike Flanagan fan podcast. Call me Mike Flanagan. But
well, we went from a Charlize Theron
Yeah.
fan podcast, so we can be a Mike Flanagan fan podcast.
Sorry, we're fickle. We're
Yeah.
fickle humans. There's no trusting us. But we give questionable advice.
Very questionable advice.
thank you so much for listening. What did you think? Did we get it right? Totally got it wrong? Let us know.
And remember to follow us on social media, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and YouTube, and tell your friends to do the same. Plus, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at dearromancewriter.com for all the latest and to get access to special Patreon-only content.
As always, keep sending in those letters at dearromancewriter.com. You have questions, we have questionable answers. See you next time.